very highly religious country, and I believe most of us believe in a supreme being. So we start everything with a prayer, and we end everything with a prayer. So to give us the opening prayer is Benedicta Insia.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful evening. We come to you today and serve the guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this program. Fill us with your grace and continue to remind us of what we do here today. For this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Benedicta. So this event is going to be a very interactive one. Everyone is going to speak. We want to hear from everybody, and we want to also provide insights to everyone. So it's not going to be a panel discussion or a me and you affair. Everyone is involved. We want to hear from everybody, and we want to know the issues on the ground. So we are going to be inviting Madame Nancy. She is the Senior Sales Manager, West Africa, to give us the purpose of gathering and welcome address. Please, let's give her a round of applause.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. Some of you got the invitation in a very short notice, and we are glad you can still make it here today to join us. So the purpose we are gathering here today is just for us to talk about strategies on how to reduce payments, how we do our payment strategies, different ways we can actually reduce payment costs. So I hope today is going to be a good one for everyone. And after today, we'll get more info about AZA Finance and hope you will refer more customers to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mother Nancy. And I like the fact that you emphasize that we are going to find better ways to find easier payment ways and, reduce our payment. We will have our opening remark by the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. He is in the person of Mr. Samson Awengobit. Please join me up here, sir.
Thank you, Madam. When I heard Benedicta Insia, and I say, wow, I brought Insia here. Is it a coincidence or that's your brother? Benjamin Insia is an energy expert and an executive member to Importers and Exporters Association. I'm sure the media is not, it's not a new person to them. They know him very well. Most of the times, he used to be with COPEC, and now he's a consultant. I think very soon you're launching your organization, isn't it? So that's Benjamin Nsia. So Nketia and Benjamin Nsia. So Benedicta, if maybe your family, that's your family brother you know. My name is Samson Asake. I will go with Executive Secretary for Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. I'm sure I am equally not new, especially to the media fraternity and to some banking institutions who are here and some corporate institutions who are here. Perhaps if you haven't met me in person, probably you've read about me or you've heard me in your radio stations or in your televisions when I'm talking about import and export issues. Most importantly, taxes and fees and charges, and also cost of doing businesses. And so when I heard Nana and my friend Bernard call on me that they want to meet me about AZA Finance, I said, wow, that's good. Of course, from Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, we were so excited to have heard of the AZA Finance and what they want to have or what they've developed for business community, not just Ghana, but Africa as a whole. Indeed, in the business fraternity, we look at the cost of doing businesses, cost effectiveness, efficiency, the interest rate, isn't it? I think, Mr. Nana, if you and Nancy and your whole team here promise Ghanaians business community that you are going to give us special 10% special interest rate, 10% special interest rate, or even 6% per annum, you would see the business community running here. I know your competitors will come after you. When they will ask you where are you getting the monies from, and you're promising 6% and 10% per annum. But ABSA gets this something strategically for SMEs, isn't it? For women in business, up to 100 million, right? $1 million. Yes, without collateral free. But they have their target audience, and I'm sure AZA Finance also have their target audience. Your target audience are for us, and we have been advocating that we want to see when government or Bank of Ghana will say, okay, because they are paying utility tariff is too much for a business community, cost of doing businesses, interest rate, inflation rate. We are advocating for what we call Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And you know what the secretariat is sitting in Ghana here. What would be the opportunity that we, the youth, and of course, when you look at Ghana, the 2021, am I right? 2021, 2020, we did population census. Which year was that? 2020. The last time we did population census, was it 2020? We are all Ghanaians, isn't it? Statistics shows that the youth age are more. And so if the youth age are more, what are we doing? We can't all go and sit in the ministries. We can't all go and look for white-collar jobs. We probably will have to go to entrepreneurship. And our problem in Ghana here that I do see is that one person wants to do everything on his own. No. In the developed countries, what they did is that Asaki, Insia, Benedicta, Eric, my office, we come together, we pool resources together, we set up business, and we work with trust, with utmost good faith, and they run and they succeed. In Ghana here, one person wants to do everything. That's why we are lacking. Government can provide job for all of us. But government, what I do advocate is government can give it the needed platform, the atmosphere for us to flourish on it. So ladies and gentlemen, sitting in the room here, we are all youth. I'm a youth. I'm a young person. I'm just 44 years old. I'm not that old. But we are doing something. People sit somewhere and think that if they mention Asaka, say 50 years or 60 years. No, I'm not. And I also began life like this. The future is for us now. The future is not for those over 60 now. So what can we do? We need financial institutions that will with good strategic policy. I've heard is to strategize to see how best they can penetrate. And I think that if they said AZA Finance, therefore the whole Africa, so like the elephant, when it's fallen, all of us will go. So how much you chop will be the meat that you take to your family. Is that not it? So while the office is in Ghana, it tells us that there is political stability in Ghana. There is peace in Ghana. The market indicated the economic condition is in Ghana. That is why the mother company sitting in London decided to say they are setting up in Ghana. What can we benefit? Can we tap into their experience? Can we go to look at their models, financial models? Can we talk about the interest rate, their rate? Can we tell them that what you are giving to banks, because I do know that they are doing some business with the commercial banks. When the commercial bank pick from you with your small interest, they go and they add so much to us. I am going out there as an ambassador to advocate to the business community, to Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, to QBAC, to Ghana Union of Traders, to Food and Beverages Association, that if we bring our cargo, maybe if we are embarking on export, or if you are importing into the country and you need a quick and faster financial institution to support you to clear your cargo on time and be trustworthy the way you went for their funds, be prudent and be honest to pay back their funds to them so that another person can also come and get some. It becomes a pool so that we can at least to reduce the stress that most of the times importers will bring the cargo, kept it at the port, and they are now running helter-skelter, hovering from bank to bank, and the interest rate is so high. I'm sure AZA is going to do something strategic, something that we've never thought of, something we have never experienced, a very good interest rate that I will go and tell our people that if you are looking for a loan facility to clear your cargo on time, within the shortest possible time, 2 to 3 months, or 1 month, or 2 months time, come to AZA, and they are very, very feasible. If you are giving to your banks to tell your bank that, look, I'm giving to you at maybe 4%, please, if you at least put something, but don't put too much. As we speak now, we are borrowing at, it's hovering between 35 to 40%. Bankers are here, am I right? Yes, and we can't compute. I said elsewhere, we cannot compute, and that is why if care is not taken, and we do not have institutions like AZA Finance and others coming to the country to support entrepreneurs, then of course Ghana will sit here, the national headquarters of AFTA will sit here, we won't benefit it because we can't. The youth here coming from the universities and our colleges who want to establish business cannot go and start businesses at a loan interest rate per annum of 40%. You can't make it. Or you can make it, because I've not seen the applause. You are not applauding it. You can make it, right? The banks will continue giving us 50%, right? No, I don't think that's a serious country will not do that. So I was so happy when I heard the ABSA policy. And I was so happy when I heard the AZA is also in the country and they want to do business with us. Therefore, this office is for African office. It's not only for Ghana. But while they are here, can we use that opportunity to really tap into their experience and then make good use of their funds so that we can expand our business? I'm sure manufacturers can come to you, isn't it, Nana? Manufacturers can come to you. SMEs can come to you. Those who are doing retailing can come to you, isn't it? So for me, I look forward to, I will sit down and listen to you and then see what are some of the models that you have. How can one come to assess? What are some of the collaterals you are asking? Me, I was even say collaterals zero, free what? Collateral free. So that because go and bring assets, the youth sitting here, how many of them have houses? Maybe probably there are some of them are still living in their parents' home, or we have gone to rent a 2-bedroom we are living. That is not our property. We can't bring those. If you are looking for those land property, buildings, it's going to be difficult. But must we say because we are living in rented apartments, because we are still living with our parents, we shouldn't do business, or we shouldn't go into entrepreneur? We need to go to entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is the best. So far as Africa Continental Free Trade is concerned, I think, AZA, you have come at the right time. We want to unlock that potentials, and we should be able to train our youth to know that, look, if you have, maybe you have an IT background, I have the fan setting. You also have the marketing skills. What can we do? We come together, then we form a proper enterprises, then we can manage it very well, then we can move mountains. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samson Awengobit, and I can assure you that AZA has a very mouth-watering package for you. We are moving straight into a presentation where our country manager for AZA will join me here. He goes by the name Nana Yao Owusu Banahene. He's going to give us a presentation shortly, and then we'll move straight into the conversation. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
I have only 15 minutes to talk. I'm normally talking a lot because I'm of my height. Well, unfortunately, they've limited me to 15 minutes. So my name is Nana. I work with AZA Finance. Sorry to disappoint you. We don't give loans. We are purely payments company. Yeah, but we are looking at cost reduction from the payment side, and then from the perspective of African businesses. So I'm just going to do a very short presentation. I think the goal really is to understand feedback from the industry, right? You guys are involved in payments one way or the other for some of the businesses you do. We'll give you a bit of what's happening within the ecosystem and also hear from you in terms of your experiences and also strategies from your side that you think we can also implement to kind of reduce costs, and then we can put this documentation together and work with government policymakers and also regulators to get these things implemented. So who we are AZA, we do payments, FX, treasury. And when we say payment, we mean last mile payments into Africa. So we do remittances into Africa, right? We work with several remittance companies, and we're a remittance company ourselves, and we do remittances into Africa. And globally, we're able to do B2B payments. In this remittances business, there's FX conversation in it, and also there's treasury conversation in it. in terms of a bit of milestone, what we've done in terms of capital raise, the volumes we've traded. This is a bit of old data. We've done almost 6 billion now so far, dollars globally. Huge number of transactions. We are regulated by the FCA in the UK, Bank of Spain, Australia, Uganda. We have several security certificates. We have to tell you who we are properly, right? That's I'm showing all this. In terms of some institutions we work globally with, in terms of major clients that work with us and trust us, Western Union, banks that work with us and trust us, EcoBank, Barclays, Access, FAB, major investors that own or are part of the shareholding structure of AZA. And then in Africa, we are present in all these PLA places. So we're able to work within this. There's a few in terms of payment metrics within the ecosystem. Sorry. So this shows you in terms of export driven, where we export to and where we import to more. So globally, we export to Switzerland, UAE, China, and in Africa, South Africa, Burkina Faso, Senegal, based on the data we have. In terms of where we import for, almighty China has the 42%, followed by India, and then in Africa, it's mostly Nigeria, South Africa, and Morocco. Just to give a context of where we are. In terms of remittances, because most of our FX sources are coming from remittance businesses. In 28, it was like $100 million a year. Now we are in the levels of 4.2 billion, 4.5, and this year we are projecting to close around $5 billion in terms of annual remittance FX that we get. What's the current landscape of payments in Africa? And when I talk about payment, I mean, sorry, this thing is this. Fine. I mean, in terms of international payments, whether cross-border within Africa or globally. And then one of the things you will see is that generally there's some lack of financial infrastructure in certain countries. Ghana, we are lucky to have certain level of infrastructure, but this was looking at Africa in general. And sometimes we have financial infrastructure. We have fewer banks, so sometimes there are certain big banks that have what we call intermediary banks, like one intermediary bank. There are banks that don't, intermediary banks will open accounts for them, right, globally. So they have to go through like 4 banks. So when you do like transfers, it takes forever for those banks to complete the transactions for you. And then we don't have local settlement systems in terms of last mile registration. So sometimes let's say if you are doing payments, you want to pay somebody in a rural area in Nigeria, there may not be a payment system there. We are lucky to have mobile money, so anybody at all can receive funds anywhere. And also limited access to banking infrastructure. Some people don't have banks at all. I try to put it in a diagram format in terms of how this really looks like when you're trying to pay money outside of Ghana or sometimes to global partners. It's what a system is. And we have something we call SWIFT. SWIFT is just a messaging platform, right? So it's not necessarily the payment platform. And for you to make a payment for the exporter to receive, sometimes you have to go through almost 7 banks or 5 banks or 6 banks or 4 banks, depending on the kind of bank that you have. And this increases the cost of the transfer because all the banks that you're going through, you're paying some level of transactional charges. All the banks you're going through, you're paying, there's some level of delay in the transaction that you're doing. And then one bank compliance person will not understand the document you are sharing. And say, can you bring more documentations for explanations? So all these things combine to, maybe you're not quantifying the level of opportunity cost that may be happening here, but these are costs that we have to eliminate in the system. So what are the new payment strategies globally? And some of these strategies are globally oriented, not just necessarily just Africa or Ghana alone. One is utilizing multi-currency accounts for international payments. So I know there are banks in Ghana that allows you to open other currency accounts. I think the common one for everybody is opening FCA accounts that allows you to kind of receive non-domicile dollar in the country to be able to enable your international payments. But most banks and most payment institutions are creating that platform where you can have multi-currency accounts, not just in dollar, but ZOF, ZAF, whatever accounts to solve this problem so that when you're moving the money, it doesn't go through too many corresponding banks. You have just one intermediary. In terms of currency hedging, but this is a risky business, right? if in, let's for instance, last year, August, if you bought more dollars at 7 cedis, and then in October you have to make payment, that works for you because that is 15 cedis, it makes sense. But if you bought at 15 this, and you have to make payments today, then it doesn't make you've lost money. And so for me, I say people who are skilled, right? If your company want to do this, you have a treasury team who understands how this is managed properly. But it's very difficult. The other one is also getting currency specialists. So globally, there are currency specialists who are able to make this last mile payments for you. So it doesn't necessarily go through like an intermediary payment institution. They take the funds locally and then they pay on behalf of you in other jurisdictions. So these are currency specialists, and they know how to handle currencies in different jurisdictions. Then in terms of fintech platforms, right? So an example for intra-Africa, we could have what we call the PAPS now, the Pan-African Payment System, which is trying to eliminate all the corresponding bank challenges and SWIFT. And then other fintech platforms that are creating that level of API integration. Sorry, I'm speaking a bit technical, but creating that level of connectivity between banks across Africa or globally to be able to pay instantly without going through certain corresponding bank by using that settlement bank approach. I have more minutes, right? I don't think. So this is the infrastructure. So AZA, we've been around since 2013, globally and in Africa, and then we've intentionally built an infrastructure, right, and a technology to be able to provide the services at no cost in most cases, and with the best speed, right? So this is just a model to tell you. So somebody in ZMW is Zambia, right? So somebody in Zambia says, I want to pay somebody in Kenya, right? All he does is that he pays money into the Zambian account of AZA, and AZA just immediately pays the money into the Kenya account of the beneficiary within like few minutes, right? But in all these instances, there's proper due diligence, because remember, within every jurisdiction that we have to do this in, we have to work with licensed partners, we have to work with regulators and everybody to do this. So there's kind of a regulated regime. So not everybody, right? So if you are thinking of AZA being a business that's trying to do this fund transfer without any kind of regulatory backing, it doesn't work that way. So an example also is somebody in Senegal trying to make payments into Ghana. He just gives the heads off into another account. It looks a bit simple, right? Is that simple? Guys, you believe it's simple, right? You just put the money in the account and we just see and say, oh, we are making the payments for you. But as I said, this goes through some regulatory compliance due diligence. I'm a salesperson, so all I care is where's the money going, where's the money entering. But there's a big compliance team in AZA who make sure this works. So in other jurisdictions, this is a very effective platform that we've enabled. I'm almost done with my presentation, but I just wanted to show you just this. So I want to show you, this is where the world is looking at. Most fintechs, most global technology platforms are building this infrastructure to enable easy payments at reduced cost, taking out the corresponding bank wahala. Now remember, this does not cut the banks off the fund transfers business, right? This does not mean banks are not involved in here. Yeah, because banks are mostly settlement banks. At the end of the day, the banks are the ones who do the last mile payment, so they are the settlement bank. It's just that the banks itself, for this transfers to happen currently, have to go through too many corresponding banks, and they themselves are working. There's a platform called Access Africa where they themselves are working with fintechs to be able to do this last mile payments easier, right? So this is just a list of companies. AZA is mostly, I thought it was a pointer. AZA mostly plays around the cross-border side, and also we have the API infrastructure, but this is the global picture of new fintechs, new B2B payments, enabling this kind of easy payments where you pay one, they do the last mile payments for you without too many corresponding bank, reduce costs at high speed, and no challenges. Thank you very much. I just wanted to give this context before we have our roundtable discussion.
Thank you very much. That was less than 15 minutes. And we are grateful. So at this point, we will be inviting some dignitaries to join us up here, and then we delve into the conversation. So Mr. Mohammed Inua, he is the Group Chief Compliance and Legal Officer. Please, let's give him a round of applause as he joins us up here. Madam Ijoma, she is the Group Lead Compliance Operations and Financial Crimes. Please join me up here, Madam.
And then Mr. Samson Awengobit, Executive Secretary, Importers and Exporters Association. Please join us also. And then Nanayao again, Owusu Banahene, Country Manager, AZA Finance. Thank you very much. So we are going to zoom straight into the conversation, and I hope that everybody comes on board so that we have a very smooth engagement. And the first questions we want to tackle is to understand your experiences so far. When Mr. Awengobit was here, he was talking about how charges are high and how the percentages were affecting their businesses and how the young people can't venture into entrepreneurship, even though it is the backbone of our economy. So we are going to listen to your experiences, and then we'll find some tailor-made solutions from AZA for you. I do not know who to start with or where to start from, but maybe I'll just move to the table, and then when I hand over the microphone for you, you're going to tell me something. I hope that's okay. I can see some people smiling at me. Okay. Or should we do a ballot? Should we start or we can start with anybody? Can start in anybody. Okay. I saw you smiling so much at me, and so I would like to start with you.
Sorry. Baba, so I was saying that I wish you wouldn't start with me. Okay. I'm not because I'm not actually in business, but I'm passionate about, SMEs, looking at my experience. So I wish there would be a section where we'll talk about the practicality, because I had noted something down to ask Nana. I don't know, it might not be too relevant now because you want to know the challenges, businesses face when they want to do transfers. But when Nana was speaking, he made mention about paying, I'm sure because of the time, so he had cut it, but there will be a technicality. But he said you pay into, for instance, somebody is in Zambia, you want to pay money to somebody in Kenya. So he said you pay into our account in Zambia, and I wanted to ask, is it like walking to a bank to make deposit payment, or is a platform like a mobile app where you can debit your Momo, for instance, if you're in Ghana, or you debit your Visa card or your account? So I wanted to understand that. Okay. The challenges, I am interested to know your charges. I've not heard it yet. So if I know your charges, then I'll be able to know whether it's very competitive, because I have some few people who do business and who mention about their charges, but I've not heard about your charge. Okay, because during his presentation regarding the charge, I saw something up to 7%, but I don't think the bank do charge 7%, up to 7%.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We didn't catch your name and where you're coming from.
My name is Ramat. I work with National Investment Bank, but on the side, on weekends, I have an NGO, okay, that is into the empowerment of female enterprises. So that's why I was passionate to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we've had someone from this table. I'll just move to, is anybody ready to speak? If not, I just move to this table. Excuse me. Can you share your experiences with us, please? Your name, where you're coming from, and then your experience.
I'm from Importer and Exporter Association of Ghana, and I'm Eric Jamberu. And I'll ask my question later because my boss has already spoken.
Okay. But what has been your experience so far with payments, charges, getting your goods, and stuff like that? Or should we move and come back?
Yeah, we've come.
We could do that. We could do that. All right. Let me come to this table. All right, sir.
Good evening. My name is Steven. I'm a solar consultant and I do small import. I do buy from China through online. For the past few months, since last year, the exchanges have been like not stable. So my experience is sometimes when I use my direct credit card, when I look at it after they charge me, I realize, the exchange rate is maybe 10 Ghana cedi, and the next thing you see that you are paying almost like 12 Ghana. You wonder what is going on. But I noticed something. Most of the banks, I'm currently dealing with this. I don't want to mention the name. So what I normally experience in the evening when you buy online, you pay more. I don't know if you observe that. And weekends too, you pay more. But at the close of the day, you see in the Bank of Ghana, this is the rate. But when you try it, I tried one Friday, and I was almost pay almost like then it was almost like 16 Ghana city. Yes, I'm telling you, I was starting out, and I called them and said, why? The exchange rates are this not up to this. Why do you? So basically, that's some of the challenges we have facing. If you have a solution, I think we'll be very glad. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I realized you had something to say also.
Okay, we are a software development house and we pay for our service outside. The same challenge is what? Okay, we're a software development house and we pay our service outside. I think the challenge is what he said, but what we also observe is that sometimes when you give the invoice for the banks to transfer, they have about 3 or 4 charges. One is for Swift, one is for this, one is for that. By the time I realize it's moved to about, the exchange rate is another level. And the exchange rate is one online. You call the banks in the morning, they'll give you a rate. By evening, it's change. You go to Forex Bureau, it's different. Meanwhile, you want to plan and budget and forecast. And clearly, you can't even challenge them when they overcharge or undercharge. They will tell you, Swift took that, we took that. We are people, so many complications. So if there can be standard and you can plan and you can have some forecasting, it will help our businesses do what we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who else has experienced the exchange rate thing? Anyone else? Changing in the evening? You have? Yeah.
My name is Henry from Horizon SIPA. With the exchange rates, it looks like dealing with the banks, in the morning there's a different rate, in the afternoon there's another rate. So when you're ready to make payments, you're not sure which rate to use, or you're just hoping that by afternoon, like today, I think today the rate has dropped a bit. In the morning it was higher, this afternoon it came lower. So you're always hoping that the rate is going to drop and waiting. Sometimes when you wait for too long, then it shoots back up. So it's the change in the rates, that's the thing. I don't know if banks can keep to like one rate in the morning and throughout the day. If something, I don't know if AZA is doing something like that, that would help. So.
Okay. I like that. Who else, please?
My name is Milin. I have a company called Seagull Ghana here. We are the importers. My question is that the beneficiary, he gets paid in dollars or the local currency?
Okay, he wants to know if the beneficiary gets paid in dollars or the local currency. But what has your experience been so far?
No, actually, the beneficiary will always prefer payments in dollars.
Please come again.
The beneficiary will always prefer payments in dollars to be credited in his bank in the concerned country, like China. If I'm purchasing something from China, the exporter will definitely ask me to send the money in dollars, not in the local currency.
Yeah. Okay. So, I understand. All right. I hope we got it too. So, who else? Which table? Okay, maybe I'll have to come back to this table again, and I would let you share your experience with us also.
Good evening. My name is Abdul Halim. My experience.
Please use this.
Already. My name is Abdul Halim. My experience with AZA is like their services is very fast. And one thing about them is when they give you rate, they can ask you, is the rate okay for you or you want something to be done? That is it.
How about yourself? How has your experience been either importing, exporting, or just being in the entrepreneurial space?
No, I used to import goods from Nigeria and China.
How was it like in terms of payments?
No, the payment is very easy for me.
That's with AZA?
Yes.
Okay. But how about before AZA, how was it like?
It was terrible.
Well, how terrible? What made it terrible?
Oh, it's not easy. Like the rate, it will be very high, and even the payment is not. But with their own, they will just give you account number, pay. That's all.
Okay, that was another 10. I didn't see that coming, but thank you so much for praising us. All right, I am going to come back again to this table, and I think this time around I'll give the microphone to you to share. Should I go and come? Should I go and come? Okay, but what was it about? The changing rates.
The difficulties of part.
I think anybody in business, Papa Kojodo Kwate in Tianjinable Group, anybody in business, particularly a business importing or exporting, your main difficulties are exchange rates, speed of the payment being made at the other side. With banks here, the last year has been terrible. You know, the exchange rate wasn't good, and you also have this corresponding banks things happening, and you have delays happening. So that's how the trend has been here over the last few years.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've had a lot of people share their experiences with us, and I believe now we would have to delve into finding ways of solving this problem. The major problem I keep hearing is about the exchange rates, and the interesting part is the fact that it changes even within a day or 24 hours. What do you suggest can be done to help reduce the costs or to help stabilize the exchange? What if you were in their shoes, or if you had the opportunity to provide solution, what do you think can be done to help in this experiences that you've had? Maybe I should come to you first, since you shared extensively on your experience.
The kind of solution I'm looking for, the major business source is basically China. If you can provide us a platform where I can pay in RMB or Chinese currency, and also I can have an account. You know, we have a situation sometimes where the currency also depreciates, like there, or so you can actually buy in advance and put the money there. And I remember when we, like about recently, the dollar went down to as low as 11 Ghana cedi recently, and within 2 days, I was shocked. It went back to 12 Ghana cedi. So in the kind of like, if you have a platform whereby I can just put my money and hedge that, I don't know what a technical term to use for that. I can use it to put it in advance. Because currently, I'm having a lot of challenges, honestly. Sometimes you go to the bank and you see the exchange rate, and you go to the Forest Bureau and you see that the rate is cheaper. So, but the point is, they don't move out sometimes the time, because like I'm a self-employed, I have to do everything myself. I'm responsible for procurement, marketing, support, so many things, you know, because I'm dealing with technical job. So I have to go rush to the, what do you call it, Forest Bureau to get it. So by the time you even try to get money to buy, it's quite difficult. So if you can create a platform where you can actually have your money there in advance when you're ready to do a transfer or something like that. I don't know if it's possible, but I think I've seen some banks doing that, but now they've been blocked by Bank of Ghana not to stop that service. So if they can offer something like that, I think you'll be fine. Thank you.
Okay, so advance payment option where the exchange rate doesn't change, right? Basically. All right.
Right. So just to agree a bit with him, I think the over-reliance on dollar is one of the major factors. There's a huge demand on dollar. So if we can get a platform where, because majority of our imports are from China, like my company, if we can get an access to pay RMB, there used to be a bank that we used to work with that pays RMB, but then it takes a long time. They have to purchase it from what's it called, GIB, and then later the rate also changes because they charge us in dollar. They use the dollar RMB. If we can get like CD RMB, it'll be much better, and I think there'll be a less demand on the dollar, which would help even stabilize it a bit. If again AZA can help us with the RMB payments, I think it'll also help.
Okay. I like that. So if you were AZA, you would look at that area Thank you very much. All right.
Honestly, my question will come to AZA later, but I'll do two in
Yes,
one.
sure.
I always want to find out who determines the rate apart from Bank of Ghana. Because Bank of Ghana brings theirs, Forest Bureau has theirs, online has it, and the bank has theirs. And you're asking yourself, who brings that? That one I've been confused for a long time, apart from Bank of Ghana. Okay. My way to what is, if we can get some, I know you guys have a platform. If we can be advised and predict, because I know when you want to pre-purchase on any platform, Bank of Ghana will always come at you. But if there is a forecasting structure where I don't know how possible it is based on your data and your, now we're talking about AI, can use AI to predict and say for the next month, we anticipate the dollar will be within this range. It will go up to that, it will come down by this. And it can be good to a point. Then people can plan ahead of time. And we can all be in there. We'll not be shocked that much because you wake up today, it's at 13, tomorrow it's come back to 11, and you've gone to collect the customer's money in CDs to pay in 3 months' time or 1 month time. So if you can have your platform give us some of these analysis, I think it will be helpful.
That's very insightful. I would like to come to the high table, but I want to hear a lady speak. I want to hear what the ladies have to say. So, maybe I'll spell AZA between these two tables, AZA. So I'm coming here. I can see you are getting a paw. Maybe I should give it to you to share with us. You don't have anything to say. Please tell us something. Kindly pass the microphone to her for me.
So basically what he was asking me was who I am and what I do. So I was telling him I'm a lawyer, and this is more like an informative opportunity for me to learn more. So I think it would be best to pass the microphone on to someone else.
Who do you think we should give it to? Point to another
I think there's
lady.
a beautiful lady here, so
gorgeous.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Safrakoma. I'm very new to this space, so I'm actually enjoying listening from the more experienced ones. So I'm also here to learn and take in from the experienced ones here.
Another lady. You can pass on to another lady. Oh, I think she's here, so we'll have to pass on to another lady. Okay, she chose you.
Okay, so my name is Ophelia. Yeah, work with one of the banks.
Please use the microphone.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so my name is Ophelia. I work with one of the banks. Speaking on behalf of the banks, honestly, I wouldn't want to, how do I put it, say anything that will contradict the FX, in regards to the FX. But concerning the question he raised about the FX, how the rate differs, one thing that I can say to answer his question is that BOG provides the rates, and sometimes the rates are higher because the banks will have to also source. BOG would give us the rate, and sometimes we would also have to source. So if there's our source of FX is expensive, that's how come. I mean, we have to end up giving you higher rates for your transfers and for your businesses. So
we don't agree with you, but we take it like that.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, so I'll move to the high table. Who do I start with? Shall I come to you first? Yes.
Well, what's your name?
Baba.
Baba, okay, great. I was thinking the bankers would have spoken concerning the question you asked, that the gentleman asked, that who gives the rate out and who bring the forex. Because if you are doing business, that is the headache, is that not it? But I remember my sister, you said you want to speak on behalf of the banks, but I know I'm not going to put you into trouble anyway. But I think quite recently, refreshing, And the media are here. Joy Business is doing quite well. I don't know how many media are here, but I see their logo. But I know there are other media houses here. There was this senior manager from Bank of Ghana quite recently, not 5 months ago, I think 2 months or 3 maximum ago. He was in the Public Accounts Committee. And hello, are we here? And this question was posed to them about this rate. Because a long time, we all thought the rate that we all treat is coming from Bank of Ghana. But this deputy governor said no, that there was nothing like Bank of Ghana rate. Am I right? I'm sorry, we all heard him. The bankers, they heard him. And he said that they rather pick from the commercial banks. And that the commercial bank has 3 rates. At the end of the day, they look at the best rate and they pick that one. And they say it is Bank of Ghana rate. So ideally, when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee and made this statement, I was so alarmed. I said, really? So that is why sometimes you go to different banks, you see different rate. You don't go and see, like you go to Bank A and it ran up to Bank Z with the same rate. Have you ever experienced that? No. Each bank has, Treasury Department has their rate, as the lady just said. Okay. And so that means, what is the role of the Bank of Ghana? Supervisory and monitoring should be key. So I thought rate as coming from Bank of Ghana. Unfortunately, this was what they said. And till date, even the parliamentarians did not even haul the governor of Bank of Ghana to Parliament to ask him questions. That your representative said this. Is it true? Because Ghanaians know that this rate comes from Bank of Ghana. Besides that, I advocated that there should be a need for government or Bank of Ghana to give licenses, because it happened before during President Kufuor time, that the commercial bank themselves import forex. Based on that, the rate will be lower. If they give you the license, the permit to bring in your own forex. Then the other aspect is that the fintech payment, get like Nana did your presentation today, is so, you should have given your presentation before I did my remarks. Because where I sit as the executive secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, I get complaints from those who buy, especially those who buy from China. There are these payment platforms to the extent that someone gave money in the morning, then in the evening, the money is not in the person account, the fintech account, the platform that they said they were going to facilitate for the payment to the client in China. Then you end up at police station. Then this is Ponzi, or what do you call it?
No, this won't happen with AZA. It won't happen with AZA.
So these women keep on knocking my doors and asking me that. So we need a reliable, credible, and above all, I was happy when Nana made mention of they don't joke with the security and compliance level. And I'm happy that the Bank of Ghana even registered you. And I'm happy that this is your corporate head office. So we can recommend to people that if you want to do payment, please use this platform and it goes swiftly. What I want to ask Nana is, if, like the gentleman asked from should I say the white man, am I right? Because last time I was in the meeting, when I said a white man, then the person said, I'm not a white man. So the point is, if someone is paying here in Ghana, you want to use your system, your platform. Is he giving you cedis in AZA account in Ghana? Then you give the person Chinese yen, or you give the person dollar if the person is demanded. And at what rate? I'm saying this because you talk of cutting down the cost element. Because if I put my money into HGS Bank, I'm not going, you've already mentioned your bank name already, NIB account. And they are my bank here to facilitate to my supplier in maybe China or in UK or wherever. And he has to go through 3-4 banks before he finally get to my supplier. That means their bank here will charge me on all, because they knew the other charges that they have to pay to facilitate. So if I would have gone through 3 banks and I will just go through you, and the next person is the receiver, that is my client who get the money, then that's the best way to go. That is the best way to go. But are you sure we put our money? How quickly will you be able to get the forex to give? Because mind you, yes, you are facilitating. The bank also want to do direct business. with the client. But the client think that using your platform will be the best and faster. I'll bring it to you. Can you assure us that they won't frustrate you when we advocate for people to put their forex through your account, their currencies, their monies through your account, and it doesn't take us weeks or months before it finally hits
it won't do that.
The final person.
Mr. Wingobet, I'm going to pass the microphone to Nana to answer all your questions.
Hello, thank you. So let me just start from a few ones before I forget. So there was one question I wanted to address, in terms of exchange rate changes globally, from a merchant perspective. So sometimes some of these global merchants are processed by international PSPs, for instance, Visa, right? And these guys, their treasury don't understand our market so well. So sometimes you realize maybe markets may be around 11 cedis or 12 cedis, but these guys will set a rate, let's say at 13 or 14 cedis. They do that deliberately to cater for any forms of unforeseen fluctuations in the currencies, right? So because they are international payments, because they lost, especially last year, they made some of these decisions after last year, where in August or something they were 7 cedis. They closed their eyes and opened in October, and they had 15 cedis. And they lost a lot of money. So I think this may be attributed to some of the causes. But beyond that, I think generally the bankers the lady mentioned is between how you source it and how you sell it, right? You can't buy and sell below the price that you buy. So whatever you buy, you have to sell a bit at the margin on it. What we are focused on AZA is currently working with licensed payment partners, right? So in Ghana, for instance, we work with licensed payment partners to do remittances termination directly into wallets and bank accounts. In other markets, we are creating that infrastructure that allows for local currency payments amongst African countries. So that's why I gave this a vivid example of this Zambia, Kenya trade flow, where a Zambia person can give you a Zambia kwacha, and then we will pay in terms of KES. But these are done within some level of regulatory framework, right? So in Ghana, for instance, if we have to do any remittance termination, you have to work with the banks. You have to give your FX to the banks, and then they convert it into GHS for you for the last mile termination. I think the goal and what I've mentioned about our infrastructure is that we take away 3 key things within our AZA Finance global infrastructure. 3 key things. We take away charges in terms of transfer fees that you have to pay for every transaction that you do. We take away the normal SWIFT payments that you have to do. And then we take away the multiple corresponding banks that sometimes bring extra charges on the transaction that you do. And then we create a platform that globally you can have one rate from morning to evening, right? And this is what we are striving to do. And we've been striving to do it for a long time. And we've created that infrastructure to exist in different markets. So the goal is, if this is successfully implemented, then we cut away all these things, including working with banks. Because you don't necessarily have to just come to AZA, for instance. Banks can be utilizing our infrastructure to be able to provide the services for you, right? So it's not like I'm competing with your bank. Your bank will just be using my infrastructure. So there's one that is called PAPS, which I mentioned earlier. It's an infrastructure that banks are leveraging on. AZA Finance infrastructure will also be leveraged on by banks to say, I'm making a last mile payout, but I can easily make it within a second and cutting off all the corresponding banks, because AZA has created that technology infrastructure to connect different banks' accounts on one platform. So that's what we are seeking to do. So to reduce the cost, just to come to your question, is taking out all these ones. So transactional charges are taken off, SWIFT charges are taken off, and because there are no corresponding banks, extra corresponding bank charges are taken off, and there's no delay. So it's not necessarily you coming to give me money. We are working with banks that you take your money to your bank, but your bank will use the AZA Finance payment infrastructure to do the last mile payment. So it's not necessarily you giving money with the trust issues and somebody taking the money and not being able to do the last mile payout. So we have banks that we work with and that we are collaborating with, that we've given them our infrastructure, and then you can go to your bank, they will do the KYC on you, because we ask the banks for the KYC when we are doing the last mile payment. So this is what we've put into place, and then our goal is to continue to integrate to more payment platforms. So it's not just even paying to bank accounts in the last mile, but also being able to pay into, let's say, a mobile wallet like Wave in Senegal, right? Or run money in Senegal. Be able to pay into M-Pesa in Kenya. So not just the bank account. Sometimes you may not be paying the $20,000. You will be paying the very $100 for a dress you bought online on Instagram. So somebody you should be able to pay into the mobile money wallet in those places also. So we are creating that level of what you call omni-channel in terms of wallet, bank account, and even potentially cash. Because you can generate tokens for people to go and redeem it when you transfer them money. So we are looking at all these infrastructures without the normal charges and corresponding back effects. And this is what we've seen is reducing the prices in terms of doing business. And then also being able to set one exchange rate. Because as they said, we have there's a row here, treasury. And what we do is that we've created that level of painstaking float to be able to manage exchange rate. Right, so the exchange rate we give within our system or payment infrastructure is for the whole day, right? I may not be able to exhaust all the responses. I know, for me, the exciting part of the program is the networking session where the AZA team can directly come to you one-on-one and then be able to explain very clearly what we're able to support and how we can help you within the market.
All right, thank you very much, Nana. I think, okay, last one. I'm permitted, right? Okay.
Questions going to Nana, and all your presentations, and it seems your target audience are the corporate. Though you mentioned about someone doing about $100 and stuff like that, but how do you I want to buy something from Alibaba? Can you give me a scenario like that? How do I benefit from you? Okay. How competitive your platform to Visa or MasterCard?
Okay, so another part of our business we've not spoken about really is on the working with banks and fintechs to do the collection side. So what we do is that if you want to buy something from Alibaba, the option that maybe you may be using is a Visa card or a MasterCard, right? What we are doing is that we are creating another option for you to use mobile money, right? So you go online, you could use mobile money, but you're not necessarily facing us because remember, AZA is not a B2C kind of company. We don't deal directly with individuals. So AZA will give its API to a company, let's say ExpressPay, forgive me, I'm mentioning names, or a ZP or whatever, fintech company. And we will be connected to these global merchants. So when they connect to us, they're able to debit your mobile money wallet, allowing you to pay. The difference here is that unlike the Visa where they're not in the market, they don't understand how to manage the exchange rate, so sometimes they'll put some level of premium on the rate. Let's say if it's 11, they're showing 13. We are in the market, we understand the exchange rate, so we'll be showing the actual exchange rate. So you cut the cost of having that premium exchange rate or premium or excess fees or whatever amount they add to it to cover whatever unforeseen things that may happen. So that's the difference that we add to it. We can add card to it, but the good thing is we are in the market, we understand the exchange rate. So whichever license PSP is integrated to us to do this kind of transaction, they are using the market rate as we see in the market.
So now I guess to answer this, so that means that walk in a bank and say I want to use the AZA financing platform to pay my somewhere there.
So
in Ghana, can you give some of the bank's names?
Mr. Wengobit, we have a lot of people wearing Ask Me, and they are going to be around during the networking session. You can have a full human being to yourself alone, one-on-one, and you can ask all your questions. And the same goes for everybody in here. If you have any more questions during the networking session, where we are nibbling and drinking and all that, you can ask your questions and ask every question you want and take their contacts because they'll take yours too. And then you can follow up with more questions after here.
Baba, I beg your pardon. I hope because of Joy News, I think if you can give that explanation to us, that would be good because the problem here, if I walk to my bank and I say, I want to use the AZA and who are the banks, then we know.
So just to answer your question very simply, we are a payment trail, right? So payment trails, the bank will not tell you which payment trails they are using. They are in the background. So you are like unforeseen. And there are several of them in the market. So the bank is the one you are facing. He's the one doing the transaction for you. So you can't go and say, I want to use the AZA, unfortunately, yeah, for now.
Okay, so now that we are here, we've come to the end of this event, but we are going to take our closing remarks, and this is going to be done by Mr. Muhammad Inua. Yes.
All right, so before we all head out to the discussions and the one-on-ones, we want to thank you so much for coming. We hope you have enjoyed the session, and we'll enjoy the session as well that comes up, as we have enjoyed setting this up. We thank you so much for your time and for taking the effort to come over here to discuss with us and tell us about your problems and the pains you have. And hopefully we will be able to provide solutions that will be meaningful and cost saving to you all. So thank you so much for your time and the effort coming over.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. So, okay, let me call Michael Boateng. Is Michael around? Yes. Please come and give us the closing prayer before we take our official photographs.
Thank you. Let's be on our feet and say a word of prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for such a wonderful section. We bless your name for giving us this grace and grace in this occasion for us. Father, as we break out into another section, we pray that you be with us. Bless us and bless every food and everything we touch. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So we are going to take some photos. Please don't leave yet. Let's take our photos, then we go out.
Discuss solving that really hits you when you get into that.
Well, I strongly believe that as the Executive Secretary for Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, what I look for my people is when they intend to pay their suppliers at the speed and the urgency and the infrastructure, the platforms that they will be able to use in a swift manner by paying their suppliers when they are preparing goods from them. And also not just paying the supplier, but also looking at the platform that will cut down costs, that will be very effective and efficient. That will not take them more than 4 banks or 4 transactions. That that what that means, it comes with a cost. And so if we use a platform like AZA, that would curtail the cost of doing businesses and the fast tracking and the receiver get it money without sweating. That's the kind of platforms that the infrastructure Ghana want, or we are as a business community. And I'm happy that AZA has come at the right time, and they are doing well with our banks, Ghanaian banks, that are tapping into. So if there's any bank that is not using the AZA payment platform system, I would encourage them to use, because that's what I'm going to advocate to my people, that this is the best way. That instead of you to go your correspondent bank, your bank in Ghana to your correspondent bank, then they have to go through different systems. This one-stop shop, Swift, then it hit the receiver without any wahala. So I think that is the best way to, that's what business people are looking for. You remember I said that there were some importers who walked to my office to say that, look, you have used a platform and the money didn't go. Then they end up into police station. So when I listen to AZA country manager, he talk about the compliance level about them. He talk about the regulatory framework that they are having. Then he talk about the supervisory, and of course, and he talk about international best practices. And then he made us to understand that they are working with the Bank of Ghana rules and they are working with the UK rules. These are the standard ethics, that highly ethical, that they will have to make sure that they doesn't want their reputation to be tarnished. And so these are the fintechs we look forward. It's a platform that every business person looks to see, so that when they are making payment to their counterparts for good processing.
The question is, what new is AZA Finance bringing when it comes to the payment system? And then how affordable is the platform? And then maybe what are some of the challenges going forward? that as an industry player you think can be solved to improve Ghana's general payment system platform? So first,
you see the points emphasized, the points you made about visa. And so you don't need to mention visa and all of that, but the fact that because you are local, you understand the terrain and all of that. So I'd like you to emphasize that.
Okay, so let me start with. So tell us, what is AZA Finance presenting when it comes to the payment system here in Ghana?
So what we are trying to do is that we are connecting with PSPs and banks, not just in Ghana but the African continent, to be able to enable a seamless cross-border payments. And so that's what we are focusing on. So we want to create that seamless cross-border payment that takes away most of the high cost of making payments outside of the country.
So with your platform, how easily accessible is it and how competitive it is?
Yeah, so we are a B2B. So our goal is actually to work with licensed partners. So we don't actually face customers. We provide that technology infrastructure and operational infrastructure with compliance and regulatory regimes to enable these transactions to happen. So we stay behind and empower the fintechs and the banks.
Okay. So when it comes to cost, how does your operations also impact on cost?
Because of our current operational infrastructure, we've been able to take away some elements of corresponding bank effects and also transactional charges. So this will enable local partners to be able to do these transactions at very low cost going forward.
How does your knowledge, your presence in the local market and your knowledge of the terrain impact the offerings you are able to give to?
Well, I think our understanding of the local markets, one, in terms of operating within, let's say, the FX regimes and everything helps. Sometimes some international processors are able to do some level of pricing a bit above market price, but because we understand the market and the local market, we don't do those things. So we'll show a better price to your customers than some international payment partners.
Okay, the other thing is that we also heard some of the importers complain about the FX and then how is your platform also solving that particular challenge when it comes to the exchange rate and then it impacts importers when they import?
Yeah, so I think what I mentioned earlier, that we are connecting with licensed partners across Africa, and if that is very successful, then it takes away that element of being able to convert the local currency into a foreign currency before another local currency. And this will take that level of dependence on one local currency to cause a depreciation. So if we're able to succeed in implementing our platform very well in Africa, it takes away that level of dependency and then the fluctuations that we don't have control over.
Now, sometimes the market fluctuates significantly between the start of business and the close of business. How does AZA Finance address this?
Same thing, but these things happen because of a demand and supply behavior. Because we are dependent on one specific foreign currency. If we're able to create this platform, we take our dependency from that specific foreign currency, and then we're able to play that local settlements, and they take away that level of uncertainty. So one rate will be set for the whole day, and it will never change again.
With the increased focus on payments and settlements, security is also a major concern.
Yeah.
How robust is AZA Finance's systems?
Well, I think we are PCI DSS certified, we are ISO certified, and we have all the security certifications, and we have a very strong regime. Some of the security challenges that happen are more even offline than online, and then we have a very strong compliance and regulatory regime that protects it.
Okay, my final question will be intra-African trade, and with you talking about payments across the continent. In areas where AZA Finance is not operating, how are you looking at quickly leveraging on this opportunity of AFTA and then making sure that the cost of payment becomes more affordable?
We operate a business which is B2B, which mostly makes us, you have a person who's your client, your partner, and your competitor. So what we do is that we work with, in corridors and in jurisdictions that we are not physically present there, we work with partners and we work with the banks who make the last mile payments for us or reduce the last mile payments. So definitely we are B2B and we work with partners across these jurisdictions.
And what currency does settlement okay?
Yeah, so in Africa, I think as I mentioned earlier, to be able to take away the exchange rate fluctuations, the good thing is to have local settlements. So if we settle in local currencies, it take away the pressures that comes on it in terms of depreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is it selling up in Munyanke? Na Kenji Senor now? Be Mamunia Jango. Nadiso Melevoko. Lungalente Munyanke. Papo Meyan and Yolanjena. Mutaka Mutisivu. Lumene no Jabambo. Cutting to pip to cup up to pip. But to give the cupala to go. Cutting to give to cup up to Gana. Painting out in part in there. Cutting to give to cup up to give. Bunker can't have a lot to go. Pink campum parting in it pound the Atelemba mateke, Nanyodi Majiva Matokombale, Timbala Monateko, the Somele Voko, Lungalende Munyenge, Wapome and the Yolanjena, Mutaka Mutiti Polo, Lumene no Jabam Pudupani Pap, and I can I Reno, Esele Sonica Janle, Odibondoko. E passave loco de hula ape tipi malabona batoka osinga wejita napa mabola mabumambindo masibene polo mola ochainde we medi meze napa bosovende oyidina obiana be bombam kadi pop ende I can I redo esele sonica janle odibondoko e passabe loco de ula cupa que queribu mandinga e brundante kingi pandaka e tungu be tungu ata tungu be tungu tungu and put it down and babnikinga and putting babnikinga and put it down and babnikinga in tingu and babtinga in the babtinga in the kikiribu mandinga kikiribu hey mandinga it's not a lucky pandero people the lot kikiribu mandinga kikiribu mandinga it's a balancena and con papa work katava kikiribu mandinga kikiribu mandinga balancing laughing bako pissing on a pin at the bottom kikiri mandinga kikiribu hey mandinga mbabtungu mbabtungu basa mbabtungu mbabtungu kranka mbabtungu mbabtungu be mbabtungu 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 Yende la tina singere bako pisina la la tekende odu tunkira la pekende la la mateka la tende kikiri mandinga egereko mandinga ola sen balance na veko pana la tutende tongo dudungele na bakande ko pirito la tende kikiri mandinga kikiri mandinga di bembala bona bato nge posinga vegetana ma volava fumampindo ma si venne polo mola ochainde mi medi mesena mo so wende oyidina obiana be pom pam pandi pan ende I can